Good morning. Welcome to another fresh edition of your breakfast show on Leadership Television inside Nigeria. Today is December 11th, 2025. And of course, my name is Winifred Ubebo, your host on the program. Without wasting much time, let's see what the papers are offering today on their menu, starting with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. Leadership's leading story says petrol imports rose to 52.1 million liters per day in November, says Regulator. And the story continues on page 4 of Leadership. Petrol imports rose to 52.1 million liters per day in November, says Regulator. We have the cover picture of the chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, Dr. Zach Adedeji, and French ambassador to Nigeria, Mark von Bastia, during the signing of a memorandum of understanding on areas of mutual interest and tax administration at the French embassy in Abuja yesterday. We also have the story that is accompanying that photo and is on the business board of Leadership this Thursday. Federal Inland Revenue Service, French tax agency, partner on digital transformation orders. Let's take some excerpts from that business story, and more so when we also have the picture gracing the cover of Leadership. Prepared to take off on a firm footing when it transitions into the Nigeria Revenue Service NRS next month, that is January 2026. The Federal Inland Revenue Service FIRS and its French counterparts, Direction Générale des Finances Publiques, on Wednesday signed a memorandum of understanding on areas of mutual interest and the promotion of efficient tax administration. Speaking at the French embassy in Abuja, where the event took place, FIRS chairman Zach Adedeji, who signed the part on behalf of FIRS, said the event reflected a shared commitment to building a stronger, more resilient, and forward-looking tax administrations for the two countries. Excerpts from the business cover story on Leadership this Thursday. Federal Inland Revenue Service, FIRS, French tax agency, partner on digital transformation orders. Tinubu raises panel to pay 1.5 trillion naira debt owed 2,000 contractors. That is a cheering news considering the fact that some contractors owe some money, staged nationwide protests recently, especially at the Ministry of Finance headquarters, protesting for the release of their contracts. Many of them allege that they have sold their properties just in the bid to execute those contracts, which up to now have not been paid. Still on Leadership, military Tantita in French offensive against oil thieves, and that story is on page 7 of Leadership. Military Tantita in French offensive against oil thieves. Omishore absent as Tinubu meets Osun governorship aspirants. That story is on page 26 of Leadership. Omishore absent as Tinubu meets Osun governorship aspirants. Zaria killings. Buhari and I will meet on Judgment Day, says Ezazaki. The story is on page 4 of Leadership. Zaria killings. Buhari and I will meet on Judgment Day, says Ezazaki. Still on the cover of Leadership newspaper, Taraba Chief Judge laments withdrawal of police orderlies. Rowdy session as Rep summon Central Bank governor over alleged 15 trillion naira debt. The story is on page 21 of the paper, and that takes us to the stories above the masthead of Leadership this Thursday. Reactions as Tinubu orders Ribadu to arm forest guards. Lastly on the cover, federal government can't fix airfare sector fully deregulated, coming from the aviation minister Festus Keyamo. And that takes us to page 3 of Leadership, where we have our stand. Today's stand is on remembering Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi. Remembering Sheikh Dahiru Bauchi. Today's stand in Leadership. And of course, like we normally do, let's take some excerpts from today's stand. The passing of Sheikh Dahiru Usman Bauchi on November 26, 2025 at the age of 98 marks the end of an era for Nigeria's Islamic scholarship and Sufi tradition. Born on June 29, 1927 in Nafada, Gombe State, then part of Bauchi province, this revered leader of the Tijaniya Sufi order dedicated his life to spiritual guidance, education, and community service. His death at his home in Bauchi following a brief illness has elicited profound tributes from across the spectrum, underscoring a legacy that transcended religious boundaries. As Nigeria mourns this colossal figure, this newspaper reflects on his enduring contributions, drawing heartwarming inspirations from a life that fostered unity in a diverse nation, and looks forward to how his teachings can guide future generations toward harmony and progress. Let's move towards the conclusion. That is the stand in the stand. Sheikh Dahiru Usman Bochi's legacy is a beacon of hope for a united Nigeria. As we mourn, let us honor him by embracing his principles of compassion and dialogue, investing in education to uplift the North and nation. His life reminds us that from faith springs the strength to build a prosperous future. Excerpts from today's stand in leadership, and that takes us to the back page where we have Being Blunt with Muazu Elize. And today's bluntness is writing on Africa's shrinking democratic space. Elections, which are the hallmark of democracy, are neither free nor transparent across the continent. Therefore, it amounts to sheer pretense for the Nigerian APC government, which has done everything and anything to aid the shift towards a one-party state, knowing fully well that multi-party democracy is the best for Nigeria, to claim to be defending democracy in the Benin Republic. We just take some quotes from the back page column in Blunt with Muazu Elize. Africa's shrinking democratic space. Now let's visit Ghana Must Go. We don't fail to visit Ghana Must Go when we go to the back page of the paper every day for review. And on the news, PDP tells Fubara, you choose your route, don't blame us. And Ghana Must Go replied, he's suffering from post-wicked traumatic disorder, PWTD. Very, very funny. You choose your route, don't blame us, PDP tells Fubara. And of course, Ghana Must Go says Fubara is suffering from post-wicked traumatic disorder. That brings to a close review of Leadership newspaper this Thursday. Don't forget to join us on the www.leadership.ng for more stories. Don't also forget to follow on all social media handles. Even as we head up to the next paper, we have on our lineup this Thursday, and that is Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune says Tinubu insists on withdrawal of police escorts from VIPs, directs minister to contact IGP, get presidential clearance when necessary. Senators raise questions over directive. Kickers to the leading story on Nigerian Tribune on Tinubu insists on withdrawal of police escorts from VIPs. First commercial flight lands in Ekiti Airport. Adebayo, Fayose, Fayemi, Oni orders Lord Oyebanji. Kickers to the cover story. First commercial flight lands in Ekiti Airport, and that story was beamed live on the network stations yesterday during the flag off. Protesting truck drivers block Ogere for hours, causing gridlock on Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Alleged 2.4 billion naira fraud, federal government arraigns ex-aviation minister Stella Odua. Osun 2026, Tinubu meets APC governorship aspirants, insist on party supremacy. Candidates may merge through consensus, Omishori absent at meeting. Kickers to that other leading story on Nigerian Tribune. Osun 2026, Tinubu meets APC governorship aspirants and Omishori absent. Insecurity crippling economy, discouraging investors, can President lament. Army keys dodges top Lieutenant Kalamu in Sokoto operation. We move ahead to the stories about the masthead of Nigerian Tribune. Analysts decry structural gaps in Nigeria's financial regulatory architecture. After revision of fourth quarter 2025 issuance calendar, CBN's auctioned 750 billion naira treasury bills. Adeleke emerges Accord Party candidate for 2026 Osun Guba race. And lastly, in the head news cover story, heavy energy drink may pose serious stroke risk, doctors warn. And that concludes the review of front headline stories on Nigerian Tribune this Thursday. For more, log into the website of Nigerian Tribune. We move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is Daily Sun. Daily Sun is still talking about police withdrawal from VIPs. It says Tinubu senators fight over police withdrawal order. President tells IGP to ensure full enforcement of directive. Lawmakers angry, seek exemption from order. President directs ministers to obtain presidential clearance for police escorts. These are kickers to that leading story on police withdrawal. The story runs on page 6 of Nigerian Tribune. Insecurity, Sultan queries NIREC's role in religious tolerance peace building. Khan pushes for more collaboration. President furious over non-payment of contractors sets up panel to resolve payment crisis. NG Serap condemn harassment of journalists, activists, CSOs using repressive laws. Why federal government won't interfere in high domestic affairs, Keyamo. And that we move towards the masthead of Daily Sun. CAC clampdown threatens 1.8 million CPOS operators, triggers stakeholder uproar. And lastly, on the cover of Daily Sun, Osun Guba president meets aspirants, appeals for unity, consensus building. 1,660 delegates to pick candidates. That story is on page 27 of Daily Sun, and that also concludes the review of front headline stories on Daily Sun newspaper. For more, log into the website of Daily Sun. We move ahead to the next paper we have in our lineup, and that is The Punch. Let's see what stories The Punch is punching with this Thursday. The leading story says federal government pushes for 17.89 trillion naira new loans to finance 2026 budget. Borrowing jumps 72% as revenue dips by 8.67 trillion naira. Debt servicing to gulp nearly half of 2026 earnings. The kicker to that leading story on today's The Punch newspaper. Federal government pushes for 17.89 trillion naira new loans to finance 2026 budget. ECOWAS court, Nigerian top countries ignoring judgments. That story is on page 12 of the Punch newspaper. ECOWAS court, Nigerian top countries ignoring judgments. Senate screens more ambassadorial nominees. U.S. Congress panels talk tough over Nigeria IDP crisis. U.S. Congress panels talk tough over Nigeria IDP crisis. Alleged fraud, ex-minister Stella Odua arranged barred from foreign trips. Osun 2026, Adeleke confident of victory after Accord ticket win. Beside the masthead of the Punch, Tinubu tackles VIP police escort abuse. Soyinka forced Sheyi's entourage. And that story is beside the masthead of the Punch, and which continues on page 14 of the paper. Above the masthead of the Punch, PDP chaos. Wike Makinde forces revive war over INEC's nod. 30 state chairman, NAS heavyweights rally behind Turaki's leadership. Federal government opens diplomatic talks with Burkina Faso over detained aircraft soldiers. However, another paper has it that they have since released the aircraft and detained soldiers. It's on that note we bring to a close review of front headline stories on the Punch newspaper this Thursday. For more, don't forget to log into the website of the Punch newspaper, www.punchng.com. From the Punch, we navigate to the last paper we have on our lineup, and that is The Guardian. The Guardian's leading story says 54 taxes charges account for 35% of airfare costs, stifle traffic demand. And of course, as usual on the Guardian newspaper, we have illustration beneath that leading story. 54 taxes charges account for 35% of airfare costs, stifle traffic demand. Let's see, flight booking. We have flight booking. We have the 54 taxes and fees are spread across 4 major government agencies: NCAA, FAAN, NAMA, and FIROS. We have 15.7 million passenger movements. We have while only 6 of these levies are directly visible to passengers, the remaining 48 are silently embedded into air ticket prices paid by airlines to government agencies and inevitably passed down to the flying public. Illustration beneath the leading story on today's The Guardian newspaper. 54 taxes charges account for 35% of airfare costs, stifle traffic demand. This is a leading story to the story that has been trending about a hike in airfare travel. Kano lawyers petition Tinubu NSA over parallel Sharia body. Kano lawyers petition Tinubu NSA over parallel Sharia body. Nigeria's capital market losing $60 million to crypto, other virtual assets. Human Rights Day 2025 concerns as Nigerians' worsening rights crisis prompts calls for reform. Ekiti spent 49.7 billion naira to build cargo airport, says Oyebanji. Obasanjo tasked leaders on stronger institutions for national development. Federal government arraigned Stella Odua, others on alleged 2.4 billion naira fraud. Buhari will account for 2015 Zaria massacre on Judgment Day, says Zaki. The story continues on page 5 of The Guardian. Buhari will account for 2015 Zaria massacre on Judgment Day, coming from Zaki. And that takes us to the stories just beneath the masthead of The Guardian. Tinubu reaffirms police withdrawal from VIPs, mobilizes security livestock reforms. Federal government sets up panel of 4 trillion naira outstanding old contractors. And lastly, on the cover of The Guardian, optimism as federal government anticipates Nigeria's exit from CPC list. And that also brings to a close review of front-end line stories on The Guardian this Thursday. Don't forget to log into the website of The Guardian newspaper for continuation of these stories on www.guardian.ng. Well, viewers, this is where we draw the curtain on today's program. Don't forget to join us same time, same station for another fresh edition of the program tomorrow, Friday. My name is Winifred Webo. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and us, please 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.